Welcome to Paul's Toolbox. Today I have a cool little project. I'm going to show you how you can take wood, even if it has detail on it, cut it in half, seam it back together, and you won't even know it was cut in the first place. Before we get started on this video, Elsie and I want to thank you guys for making this possible. Join me with Brian Gurry, the American Builder, on the Action Channel TV network. July 15th, 2019. We'll see you there. This really comes in handy with any type of wood. If you need to take two pieces and join them together and you want them seamless, I'm going to show you how to do it. You don't want to take and cut it right here or here. You want to cut it in between there, so when you do seam it together, you'll still have these intact. Let's get started. This is going to be my good piece. I'll put it on the side, we'll flip it the other way and make that cut. You can fill this up with wood glue, make sure it's nice and clean, and glue this together. If you were doing it this way, you line everything up, you clamp it down to a surface flat, get something across the top of it, and clamp it this way. That way, this thing is nice and tight, and you let it sit until it fully cures. I'm going to show you another method because I do have some other tools that make it easy. What this is a biscuit joiner. I'm going to take another 3/4 inch piece and plunge cut it and make sure I'm in the center. You're going to mark them and you're going to cut them from the same size. So if you're a tiny bit off, you're still going to get the right depth. You look on your container, it tells you what size biscuit this is. That's a number 20. It has a little notch, and I'm going to put it on 20. That means that 20 is going to match this. When I push this in, it's going to go the right depth to where this is centered, and both pieces will have the same size. We're back inside because of the weather, so I'm going to use my speed square to get a nice angle right here, a 90-degree angle. Now I'll have a nice squared edge to work off of, and I've got to put these together. Make sure I don't go too close to the sides, because when I make that biscuit joint, I don't want to come out where the profile is. All you have to do is make sure that these lines line up. It shows you exactly where you're going to put this, and there's a little V cut out. That's going to go right on my line, and you just plunge it. When you're doing hardwood, you just kind of want to ease it in there. You don't want to try to plunge it all the way because you'll burn it. Our next one, same lines. This is 2P10, which I really like a lot. I buy this from Fast Cap. This is another thing that I bought that I like. I put my glue in here, and it keeps it from getting all nasty because it sucks the glue back into the bottle when it's not in use. Do not turn it upside down like you would normal glue. You're going to hold it right side up. I'm going to take my 2P10 glue, squirt a blob here, here, and here. I can set it on the side until I'm ready to use it. And what I'm going to do is spray this all around. Once I get it all lined up, we're going to push it together, put that clamp on it for a second, hold it, and that's going to be it. Get it all lined up. Make sure I get it tight. I want this end tight, flush with each other. I like to get it off right away. You want to get everything off the detail that you can. You don't want to have glue stuck on there that you have to sand off that detail. It's kind of a pain. I'm going to go ahead and put some 80 grit sandpaper on it and knock it down. This is glazing and spot putty by Bondo. This is a 1-part spot putty. It's red. With tiny things like this, all I have to do is put a little bit on here, come back over in 10 minutes, and I can sand it. If you take your razor blade and rub back there, you really can't tell. But if you take your fingernail and find that groove, you will be able to. So what I'm going to do, fill it all the way across. I have different ways of filling cracks, but when I'm doing doors like this, I find this to be the best way. If I just sanded this with a sander, even by hand with a flat sander, I could bring back those lines. I don't want to do that, so we're going to feather right over them, just a tiny, tiny bit. That's why I like this stuff, because you can go so thin. Well, it's dry enough to work with. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm using 100 grit sheets, 10 of them for $5.99 at Harbor Freight. You can order them. I'll have something online, a link online you can get them from. Just feather the ends first. All I'm doing is hitting the sides. Remember, it's kind of like floating drywall. You want to get your sides to where you don't feel anything. That's why I skim past it. And I'm going to hit this side of the groove, feather it in. If it's rough, that just means I need to sand it, but I don't want to feel that groove, and I don't want to take it down to that groove. So I'm going to very lightly skim it until it all feels smooth. Nice. So I'll feather this a little bit more on the ends. You sand it, you feel it, it feels great. It's always good to come back over and where you feathered it, just scrape this. You see how you can see where it's biting on there? That means it's not perfect. It's close, but it's not perfect. Part of this is grain. That's okay. We're going to fill that grain. We'll get rid of that after. Oak has a lot of that open grain. I'm going to see the grain on there, but let's see if we see the line. That's what you want to make sure you cover. So we're going to put it up here like this. Get a good look at it. Nothing. Let this dry for about 15-20 minutes. All we have is some grain marks that we need to cover. And I'm going to use this aqua coat. This will fill the grain. And they say to put 2 to 3 coats. I think since I primed it, I might be able to get away with 1 coat. And let's just see. It's a white paste, so you'll be able to see it. They have it in clear as well. My primer's dry. I lightly sanded it, and now I'm ready to go ahead and put my chalk paint. This is Renaissance chalk paint. I have a video in the description box. I just reached 1 million views on it. That one shows how to get a spray-like finish with your roller and a brush. Well, my good friend is gonna love these doors. I can't wait to give them to him. They are gonna use the Renaissance chalk paint. A different color they're gonna put on top of this. I just wanted to show you how good this came out with the chalk paint. Super easy to use, that Renaissance paint. I really like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Now remember, you have to hit the bell next to notifications, or subscriptions doesn't do any good. You will never be notified that I have a new video if you don't hit the bell. I'll see you guys later.